Well, they ordered something for me.
Shots.
You're making my mother-in-law an alcoholic all of a sudden.
There was one guy at the bar. The odds of her, Janelle, hooking up with that guy was so...
I do it in order to fight the emotions. Like all that I said about not loving my wives and stuff, my exes, was just like me trying to dial in what...
The Brown family has been on our screens for years, a complex web of love, loyalty, and heartbreak. But behind the carefully crafted moments, there's a storm brewing, a story of deception, division, and a family pushed to its breaking point. At the center of this storm is Robyn Brown, a woman whose choices have shaken the very foundation of one of television's most watched plural families. Alongside her is Kody Brown, the patriarch whose favoritism and blind loyalty have only fueled the flames of conflict. Together, they stand accused of rewriting the family's history, twisting narratives, and isolating loved ones. Welcome back, I'm Sarah, and you're watching TLC Sister Wives Daily. If you want the real story behind the headlines, hit subscribe now and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments, because this family drama is far from over. Robyn's rise in the family wasn't just about becoming another wife. It was about becoming the center, the nucleus, she claims, where all focus and loyalty must rest. But this rise came at a cost. The other wives, their children, even Kody's older kids have felt the sting of exclusion, misunderstanding, and outright betrayal. It's a story of a family fractured not by outside forces, but by those who were supposed to hold it together. Tonight, we peel back the layers of Robyn's carefully constructed narrative to reveal the cracks beneath, cracks that threaten to shatter the family forever. From questionable moves to financial drama, and from emotional manipulation to broken bonds. This is the untold truth that you need to hear. So stick with me, because what you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew about the Brown family. Let's get started. Robyn Brown has long crafted a public image that paints her as the devoted, loyal wife, someone who has made countless sacrifices for the sake of the family. On camera and in interviews, she often appears as the one who holds everything together, the steady presence amid the chaos. But look closer, and a very different picture starts to emerge. Behind the scenes, Robyn isn't just playing the role of a supportive spouse. She's carefully rewriting the family's story to put herself and her children at the very center, often at the expense of the others. One of the most striking patterns is how Robyn elevates her own children as the main kids, while minimizing the importance and presence of Kody's other children from his earlier marriages. She frames this as a natural and justified hierarchy, but it's clear that this mindset creates a sharp divide in the family. The older children, many of whom have grown up and moved on, are subtly pushed out of the narrative. Their bonds with Kody and the rest of the family are brushed aside or dismissed as distant or irrelevant. Meanwhile, Robyn makes sure her children appear as the most connected, the most important, the nucleus, as she calls it. This isn't just an innocent preference. It's a deliberate tactic that isolates Kody from those outside her immediate family unit. By convincing him and others that her children are the only ones who truly matter, Robyn effectively rewrites history and relationships, reshaping the family to fit her vision. She casts the other wives, especially Christine, Janelle, and Mary, in a negative light whenever they choose to prioritize their children's happiness and well-being. What should be seen as natural parental love and loyalty is instead twisted into an accusation that the other wives are somehow betraying the family by focusing on their grown children. Robyn's storytelling often makes her look like the sacrificial one, the wife who puts up with so much for the good of the family, while quietly isolating and controlling Kody's attention. She frames herself as the misunderstood partner, surrounded by drama and disloyalty, but this portrayal glosses over the ways she has contributed to the family's breakdown. For example, her move to Flagstaff was presented as simply a decision to support her son's college choice, but when you dig deeper, it looks like a strategic move to create distance from Kody's older children and the other wives. She doesn't just rewrite events, she rewrites motives too. When the other wives stayed closer to their grown kids, Robyn suggested it was selfish or a betrayal. But wanting to maintain close family ties is hardly a flaw. It's the very heart of family. Robyn flips that love and devotion into a weapon against the others, painting herself as the only wife who truly understands loyalty and sacrifice. What makes this manipulation so effective is how it's woven seamlessly into conversations and interviews, making it easy for viewers to accept her version of events. But those closest to the family see the cracks. They witness how she pressures Cody to disavow his love and connection to his other wives and children, insisting that only her family matters. This push doesn't just fracture relationships, it tears at the very core of what the Brown family once represented. This selective storytelling also allows Robyn to avoid accountability. If she's the victim surrounded by disloyalty, then none of the family's problems are her fault. It shifts blame onto the others, painting her as the innocent party caught in the middle. Meanwhile, she quietly consolidates her influence and control, ensuring her version of the family story dominates. In short, Robyn's narrative is less about truth and more about control. It's a story carefully crafted to protect her interests, her image, and her place at the center of the Brown family, even as the real family crumbles around her. And for those watching closely, this manipulation is impossible to ignore. Cody Brown's role in the unraveling of the Brown family can't be overlooked. While Robyn carefully crafts her narrative, Cody is the one who actively supports and enables it, often at the expense of the other wives and children. His behavior reveals a deep sense of entitlement and hypocrisy that has left lasting damage on the family's unity and finances. Cody consistently favors Robyn, not just emotionally, but also financially and publicly. Time and again, he places her needs and desires above those of Christine, Janelle, and Mary, creating a clear hierarchy that leaves the others feeling sidelined and neglected. He speaks of family and loyalty, yet his actions say something very different. Instead of fostering connection, he drives wedges between his wives, ignoring or dismissing the feelings and concerns of those who aren't Robyn. One glaring example of this favoritism is how he handles family finances. Several of Cody's business ventures, including the infamous My Sister Wife's Closet, have drained the family's resources. While these projects struggled or outright failed, the cost wasn't shared equally. Instead, the burden fell unevenly on the other wives, who invested time, money, and energy only to see the ventures collapse with little accountability. Cody's mismanagement and lack of transparency fueled frustration and resentment, especially as he continued to push these failed businesses while claiming to prioritize the family's well-being. At the same time, Cody's rewriting of family history supports Robyn's version of events. Publicly, he tries to present a united front, praising loyalty and love. Privately, however, he often undermines the relationships that don't fit the narrative he and Robyn want to promote. He distances himself from Christine, Janelle, and Mary, making it clear that Robyn and her children come first. His behavior contradicts his claims of putting family first, because true family means inclusion and respect for all members, not just one favored group. Cody's entitlement shows up in other ways too. He demands respect and obedience from his wives, but rarely offers the same in return. He has handed down lists of rules and expectations, as if managing employees rather than nurturing partners. This controlling behavior creates an unhealthy dynamic where the wives are constantly trying to meet his standards, often at the cost of their own happiness and dignity. One particularly telling moment was his reaction to a serious ATV accident involving Robyn. Instead of showing concern or panic, Cody laughed it off, acting as if it were a joke. This callousness reveals how detached he has become, even when it comes to the safety of the wife he claims to care about most. Such moments expose the disconnect between his words and his true feelings. Meanwhile, Cody also holds double standards when it comes to morality and behavior. He preaches purity and discipline to his sons, but has a questionable past that doesn't always align with those values. His selective judgment undermines his credibility and adds to the family's growing tension. Despite all this, Cody continues to cling to the image of the devoted family man, insisting that his children are his priority. But his actions tell a different story. By sidelining his other wives and children, by funneling resources into failing projects, and by rewriting the family's story to center Robyn, he weakens the very bonds he claims to protect. In the end, Cody is complicit in the family's collapse. He is not the innocent victim or the steady patriarch he portrays himself to be. Instead, he's a man who has allowed favoritism, entitlement, and hypocrisy to dictate his relationships, leaving a trail of fractured connections and broken trust behind him. And as the family drifts further apart, the gap between his words and actions grows wider, making it harder to believe in the unity he so often claims to value. The relationships between the other wives, Janelle, Christine, and Mary, and their adult children reveal just how fractured the Brown family has become. What was once a plural marriage built on shared experiences and cooperation now feels like a tangled web of tension, shifting alliances, and unresolved pain. The cracks that have been growing for years are impossible to ignore, and the fractures run deep through both the wives and their children. Janelle, Christine, and Mary each have their own unique histories with Cody and each other, and those histories shape how they relate now. Janelle has always been seen as the quiet, steady presence, someone who stayed out of drama and focused on her family, yet even she isn't immune to the strain. Over time, her relationship with Cody has cooled, and she seems resigned to a future apart from the family's core. Christine, on the other hand, is more expressive and emotional, often vocalizing her hurt and frustration. Mary falls somewhere between, trying to maintain peace but clearly affected by years of neglect and broken promises. One of the most revealing parts of this fractured dynamic is how alliances have shifted, sometimes in unexpected ways. Mykelti, Christine's daughter, has grown notably close to Robyn and Cody, but this closeness doesn't appear entirely natural. Instead, it seems calculated, almost strategic. Mykelti's relationship with Robyn feels performative at times, as if both are leveraging their bond to maintain relevance within the family. It's not that there isn't genuine affection, but there's a clear element of using this connection to position themselves favorably, especially amid growing tensions elsewhere. The history between the wives and their children also adds layers of complexity. Many of the older kids were raised in a very different time than Robyn's children, with far less overlap between siblings. This age gap naturally created distance, but that distance has been exaggerated by Robyn's efforts to isolate her family unit. The older children's ties to Cody and the other wives have weakened, partly because of logistics, but also because of deliberate emotional barriers put in place. Tensions between the wives often stem from these competing loyalties and fractured histories. For example, Christine and Janelle have experienced ups and downs, sometimes finding common ground, but often separated by lingering distrust. Their bond has strengthened recently, especially as they face shared challenges outside of Cody's influence, but it's clear that their connection is still shaped by years of conflict and disappointment. Meanwhile, Mary's attempts to reconnect with Cody and the family have largely been met with silence or rejection. Her desire for reconciliation contrasts sharply with Cody and Robyn's push to erase ties that don't serve their narrative. Mary's experience highlights the emotional toll that favoritism and exclusion have taken on those outside Robyn's immediate circle. What stands out most in all of this is the contrast between authentic relationships and those that feel staged or strategic. Genuine connections like the growing friendship between Christine and Janelle carry real emotion, history, and complexity. They are messy and imperfect, but grounded in shared experience and mutual respect. On the other hand, connections like the one between Mykelti and Robyn sometimes feel like moves in a larger game, efforts to secure influence, maintain appearances, or protect personal interests. As the framework of plural marriage crumbles under the weight of conflict, favoritism, and fractured loyalties, these relationships are tested like never before. The family that once worked together to support each other is now a collection of separate units, each trying to navigate their own path forward. Old wounds remain raw, and past conflicts continue to color every interaction. Ultimately, the story of these fractured relationships is a story of loss of unity, loss of trust, and loss of the family vision that once held them together. And as the Brown family faces an uncertain future, the true challenge will be whether these broken bonds can ever be healed, or if the fractures will become permanent divisions that define their legacy. The fallout from Robyn and Cody's choices has shaken the very foundation of the Brown family, leaving behind a tangled mess of broken ties, faded dreams, and uncertain futures. Their actions have not only fractured relationships, but also forced everyone involved to face harsh realities about who they are and what their family truly means. The collapse of the plural marriage isn't just a legal or financial issue. It's an emotional upheaval that has left deep scars and raised difficult questions about identity, loyalty, and the meaning of family. For Robyn, the breakdown of the family structure has triggered an identity crisis unlike anything she expected. Throughout her time in the Brown family, she embraced the plural marriage lifestyle as a central part of her purpose and self-worth. She wasn't just one of the wives, she positioned herself as the favored wife, the loyal partner, and the protector of Cody's legacy. But now, with that foundation crumbling beneath her feet, Robyn is struggling to figure out who she is outside of that role. Her ambitions beyond the family, business ventures, her image as the main wife, haven't taken hold as she hoped. The collapse means losing not only the family she tried to control, but also the identity she carefully crafted. As the structure that held Robyn's world together falls apart, she's left grappling with a sense of loss and confusion. Her fixation on loyalty and unity often feels like an attempt to hold on to something slipping through her fingers. Yet, beneath her pleas for reconciliation, it's clear she's trying to salvage not just relationships, but her own place in a world that no longer fits her vision. This identity crisis reveals the cost of the facade she maintained for so long, a reminder that behind the scenes, the reality was far more complicated and painful than the image she projected. Meanwhile, the other wives and children are beginning to reclaim their independence. Freed from the pressure to maintain a unified front dictated by Robyn and Cody's narrative, Christine, Janelle, Mary, and their children are forging new paths. This reclamation isn't just about breaking away, it's about rewriting their stories on their own terms. For years, their voices were overshadowed by Robyn's dominance and Cody's favoritism. Now, they have the space to tell their truths, heal old wounds, and rebuild relationships without the weight of control or expectation. This process of rewriting is powerful and necessary. It allows the family members who were pushed aside to find their own identities separate from the Brown family brand that Robyn and Cody tried to monopolize. It's a chance to embrace the messy, imperfect realities of their lives rather than the polished, selective narratives that once dominated their public image. The children especially benefit from this fresh start, as they navigate their own futures free from the shadows of favoritism and division. The broader lesson here touches on what family, loyalty, and truth really mean. Family isn't about control or exclusion, nor is it about placing one branch above the others. True loyalty doesn't demand silence or conformity. It calls for honesty, respect, and unconditional support. And truth isn't something to be twisted or reshaped to fit personal agendas. It's the foundation on which trust is built and wounds begin to heal. Robyn and Cody's story serves as a cautionary tale about what happens when self-interest and manipulation override genuine connection. The Brown family's collapse is painful, yes, but it also opens the door for healing and growth. The future of this family depends on whether those involved can move beyond the past, embrace authenticity, and build new bonds grounded in real love and respect. In the end, the real meaning of family shines through not in perfect images or scripted narratives, but in the willingness to face difficult truths and hold space for each other's humanity. The Brown family may never be what it once was, but what remains has the potential to be something truer, freer, and more meaningful than any carefully crafted illusion ever could.